Right, you need to unmute Lauren.
All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so we are ready. We have our colored paper, our white paper for drawing on, some paints that we're going to use, some paintbrushes, a pencil, some glue, eraser for rubbing out any pencil marks, and some scissors. And we are going to start now. So the first thing I want you to do, grab your background paper. This can be your colored paper. If you do not have colored paper, it can be whatever paper you like. We're going to do grass down the bottom. So the idea with grass is I want you to get your paintbrush or whatever you're using, and you're going to do flicks that come up and over. So we start at the bottom and then we flick up a little bit. So I'm going to pick any color I like. Because this is orange, I'm going to make my grass red. Your grass does not have to be the color that its grass really is. So I get a bit of water, I get a little bit of my paint, and I water it down. See how it's nice and very wet? It's kind of see-through. That's the kind of consistency we would like. So we're starting at the bottom and we're flicking up. And we're just along the bottom making our grass. Now your flicks do not have to be all the same. They can be a little bit going one way, a little bit going the other way. It's all good as long as you cover the bottom of the page. So we're adding them all flicky. So grass doesn't all grow the same way, does it? When we look at grass, it kind of has bits that go up, bits that go to the side, some bits that are layered in front. And I want you just to cover that bottom with bits of grass. Now, if you want to have green grass, that's perfectly fine. You can have some green grass that looks nice and healthy. My grass is red, looks like the sun's burnt it too much, but that's okay. So adding little bits of grass all down the bottom. So we've got some bigger pieces, some smaller pieces, and we're starting at the bottom and flicking up. So it has that rough texture at the top there that makes it look like grass. See this one here, I didn't do it very well, so I'm going to go back, started at the bottom and flick it up. So as you flick up, you lift off the paper a little bit. Now you can layer on top of this. So we've done our first layer. We can go back, add a little bit of water and go on top of that again. And we can go opposite ways, adding grass to the top of our page. Lifting, lifting, lifting. And you can add pieces that are really long, pieces that are short. Doesn't matter too much because it's just our background and we're going to be sticking things on top of it. If you use a dry brush, so when your brush doesn't have too much paint on it, it has this awesome texture that makes it look like little scratchies, just like that. And what we can do as well, if you want to, if you add a little bit of white to your color, you can make a different texture, sorry, a different grade of that color, and we can just add it on the front to really make areas stand out, like so. Starting down the bottom and just flicking up. So you should have some grass that covers all along the bottom. We don't need to worry too much about it touching the edge. We don't need to worry too much about it going too far up. As long as it's touching the bottom and covering the majority of this little area down here. Ooh. Adding our little flicks over to the side, left and right. Awesome, we're going so good. Oh, that looks amazing, Gabriella. Very good. We've got some awesome grass going on. Ah, Chantel, I love your grass. Nice and long and sticky outity. So we're just adding in the details. If you want to, you can add in down the bottom. That's up to you. I'm just going to wash my brush. So we'll wash it nice and clean. Then when you get it, you can put it on your little piece of paper, close the paper together and do a little paint like this. Oh, we have a question. All right, Tegan, give me 1 sec. Oh, it's gone away. No, Tegan, your question went away. All right, so we're painting, painting, painting. Once you've finished that little bit, if you do not have paint, it's all good. You can use colored texture, and the texture is the same motion. So you're starting at the bottom and you're flicking up the top. So you're flicking and you're flicking. So the wrist is kind of going in this action, flicking like this. And if you don't have texture, you can use pencils. Use the side of your pencil and you're flicking it along. So remember, we draw with the tip and we shade with the side. So if you start with the side, you can flick like so to do your drawing. How are we going with our grass, everybody? Awesome, we're going so well. Oh yes, Zaira, I like your grass. Look at that. Yes, Punchen, that's amazing. Oh, Addie, that looks so cool. You've got some effects in there. Alicia, your grass is very colorful. I'm loving it. I like the color. Oh yes. Isaac, very good. I like the grass. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next step? So what we can do is pick any color you like. We're going to make a moon. Now, don't forget, this is your artwork. If you want a pink moon, you make a pink moon. I am going to make, what color should I make for my moon? Let's think. I'm going to make a purple moon. So our moon, we're going to make a big round one. Just a little bit of paint. And we're going to go in the top left of our painting. Move this over. This is where I'm going to put my moon. I'm going to get a little bit of paint. Again, we're going to water it down just a little bit so that it's easy and it dries quickly. We don't always need to do this, but we have an hour, so we're going to try and get it done. We're going to go in the top left, start with your paintbrush like so, and you're going to do a circle around. Now I want to make it a little bigger, so maybe I'll paint a little bit of a bigger moon. Just a nice circle up in the top left. If you want to put your moon somewhere else, that is okay. You can do that too. But just to be uniform, we're going to put it in the top left for now. You can try and make it nice and round. Like so. Exact same if you are using crayons or pencils or textile, you're just drawing a moon in the top left. Now it does not need to be on colored paper. If you only have plain paper, that's fine, as long as you're adding in a drawing in the top left. So we've got our grass down the bottom. You can make tall grass, yeah, make it really high. And we've got our moon in the top left. I've got a little moon. If you wanted to make a big moon, that's all good. Maybe the tide is in and the moon is massive. I'm just washing my brush. Washing, washing, washing. And then we wipe it off. That looks so good, Chantel. Good job. Yes, Isaac, your moon is so dark and ominous. I like it. Ooh, make sure not to put your page in your paint. I accidentally did that. Be careful. We keep our pages and our paint separate because otherwise we could get them all mixed up together. How are we going with our moons and our grass? Does anyone want to show them up for me? Amazing. Oh, these are looking so good. Yes. Oh, look at that one. Oh, Addie, you have a purple moon too. Zaira, I like your moon. It's got like an eye inside of it. It's like very strong on the inside. Alicia, your moon is very bright. So good. Ah, these are so cool. All right, so what we are going to do now with all of our painting, our background painting goes up to dry for a little bit. So we put that away for now, just to let it dry. As you can see, my page is buckling because I used water. Don't worry about that. We can fix that later. So put your page away to dry and grab some spare paper, some white paper. We're going to do some drawings. What we are going to do with this drawing is we're going to make some pumpkins. These are pretty fun. Now, these pumpkins, kind of like Halloween pumpkins, we're going to make them a bit of weird shapes. So I'm going to start by making a big circle. Now, if your paper's only small, make a small circle. But my paper's really big, so I'm going to make a big circle. Now, what I realized, I have to draw really dark. So I'm going to make a big circle. Big circle. I'm just drawing it in darker so you can see what I've done. Do not worry about your pumpkin being perfect circle. Has anyone seen a pumpkin be real perfect circle? No. Fruit and nature are all weird kind of shapes, aren't they? This is my pumpkin, my first pumpkin. This is the shape we're going to go with. So I'm just getting my example picture up. Now pumpkins have a nice big circle. Sometimes we can make them a little flatter at the bottom. So my pumpkin is a bit round at the bottom. He's not sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line out a line. Then we're going to flatten out the bottom a little bit. Like so. So I've got a bit of a flat bottom pumpkin. So I did a line across here and then I flattened it out. I'm going to get my eraser and rub this line out. We want to make a pumpkin that's kind of round and then flattens out at the bottom. Where have I put my eraser? And we can just rub out that little bit. Don't worry if it's too messy because we are going to paint over it. It's all good. Got my little flat bottom pumpkin because it's sitting. So when gravity, oh, that looks so good, Chantel. When gravity puts things on the ground, it flattens out a little bit because it sits. All right, that's my flat bottom pumpkin. Rounded at the top, flat at the bottom. All going good. Yes, awesome. Keep working hard. I'm loving the setup. We've got the tablecloth down. We've got the painting palette and all the waters. This is looking so good. You guys are so organized. Working hard, doing your pumpkins. So we're doing a circle with a flat bottom. Very good, Albert. I like that shape. That's very nice. As we all know, pumpkins have a little at the top. So we're going to add in our little stem of the pumpkin. So I'm going to do one. It's a shape that kind of goes like this. So we start with a little bit of a flat top, and then it comes down into the center, and then this one goes here. No, I don't like that. So it goes flat top, kind of comes down like so. You can draw it a couple of times if you don't like it, and just rub out certain sections. So flat top into a little stem. I've made mine a little bit too thick, that's all right. Trial and error. Make it a bit more like rounded at the top. So we make a little bit of a rounded line at the top, coming down either side. And you got your little pumpkin. We will color it in any color, just not yet. Give me a little bit. We're going to do some extra lines, then we're going to color it in, then we're going to decorate it. Awesome, we got some pumpkins going on. I'm loving these pumpkins. Once we've done that little bit, the next step is to add in the pumpkin lines, because we know pumpkins all have those sort of ridges down the side of them. We're going to start by following the outside of the shape. We're going to do a line coming sort of down like so. So it's not a line that goes straight down, it follows the side of the pumpkin. Then you're going to do pumpkin shapes all the way across, but sort of follow the line all the way around. So I'll draw mine out and have it as an example for you. Now, if you want to have 3 shapes, if you want to have numerous amounts of shapes, it is up to you. You can have as many sections on your pumpkin as you like. You can have as many as I have. You can have less, as long as you are happy with your pumpkin. Oh, yes, very good. We've got some good pumpkins going on. Oh my gosh, Dennis, your pumpkin is awesome. I love that. Oh, Isaac, that looks so good. Chantel, your pumpkin is so nice. Oh, Emily, yours is so neat and neat. Zyra, yours is awesome. That's looking so good. Erica, I'm loving that. All right, we've got some pumpkins going on. Yes, Tegan. Oh, I love your stem. It's very good. All right, we're up to pumpkins. Oh, Alicia, you've got the little curves down the bottom too. That's a good idea. Okay, so the next step is you need to pick a color for your pumpkin. I will give you one suggestion. Pick a light color for your pumpkin because we are going to do dark dots on top of the pumpkin. So I would suggest we pick something like a light blue or a light yellow, and then we'll add other colors on top. So I'm going to do a light blue color. And again, we get our paintbrush, we get our paint, we add a little bit of water. Same for the people using pencil. Because when you're using pencil, darker colors go over lighter colors, but lighter colors do not go over darker colors. So we're going to pick a light color, and we're going to put a darker color on top of it. So I've watered down my paint. We are not painting the stem. The stem is a different color. We're going to paint the pumpkin. So we're starting on the pumpkin, and we're just lightly following that shape. If you accidentally go outside the lines of the pumpkin, it doesn't matter. You know why? We're going to cut it out and stick it on there anyway. So we are just painting the pumpkin, nice even color, all the way down, making our pumpkin very pretty. And we start at the bottom. To make sure I don't get outside the lines, I start at the line and bring it down. Same with the bottom, I start at the line and I bring it up. So that helps you to not go outside the lines. And I make my paint nice and wet. So I only use a little bit of my paint over to the side and I mix it with water to make it nice and see-through, nice and opaque. I hope we've been going to class with some of these fancy words I've been saying. We've been repeating opaque. Opaque means, oh no, sorry, that's wrong. Opaque means not see-through. Translucent means see-through. So we're making it translucent. Opaque will be the paint we make for the dots. Sorry to confuse you then. So we're just making it nice and translucent, which means slightly see-through. You know when you look through cling wrap is translucent because you can see through it. It's painting in my pumpkin. I'm almost done. I've just got this corner left. Pumpkin, pumpkin, pumpkins. One more corner to go on my pumpkin. So we've painted in this section of our pumpkin. Wash your brush off again. Once you've painted your pumpkin, dry it off nice and dry. Very clean. I think I'm going to use red for my thing. Yeah, so you've got your pumpkin. What we're going to do next, we are going to dry it a little bit. I'll just wait a moment for everyone to paint their pumpkin. Actually, next thing is, while you're painting your pumpkin, pick a color for your stem. Any color you like, but a different color to the background and a different color to your pumpkin. So I'm going to use purple because I think my pumpkin needs a purple stem. So you paint your little stem just a different color, starting at the tip of your stem and following that line. If it goes outside the line, do not worry, it's all good because we can cut it out. Painting the top of our pumpkin like so. Washing my brush. Yes, very good, Hitesh. Cleaning your brush very well. You're cleaning your brush very well. Cleaning. How are we going with our pumpkins? If you're coloring it in pencil, color it in pencil. If you're using crayon, that works all the same. Amazing. We've got some cool pumpkins going on. Addie's pumpkin is awesome. Yes, Albert, I like that pumpkin. We might wait just a little longer for some people. Oh, someone's pumpkin looks like a real pumpkin. Oh, that's fancy. That's some style. I like these pumpkins. Albert, that's a good one. Yes, they're so good. Having such a good time. Oh, Isaac and Tegan, I like your pumpkins. They're going with the blue theme. It's very similar. I'm liking it. Blue is a nice color. I can see that Aaron's pumpkin is yellow. It's so nice and bright. Your water buckets shrink. Oh, yes. Zara, you've got a nice yellow pumpkin. Okay, the next step we are doing. You are going to get your paintbrush. Now, this is a little bit messy. We're getting the back of our paintbrush, not where our paintbrush tip is, the back of our paintbrush. You're going to pick a color and we're going to dip the back of your paintbrush into that color. Following these shapes here, we're going to do little dots that stick down the side of our pumpkin. So you will need to reapply paint and then do a little dot all the way down your pumpkin. So on the back of your paintbrush, a little dot, all along your paintbrush. They do not need to be crazy perfect. It is just about getting those dots on. They don't need to be in line. So I push down and do a little twist and I lift off. Little dots all down our pumpkin. Dotting it out. If you are using pencil, you're just doing this with a pencil instead. Doing little circles all along your pumpkin. I've got a lot of paint on my paintbrush, so I'm just going to use the edges and make little dots as we go down our pumpkins. So we're just dotting our pumpkin. So this is a famous artist that has an addiction to pumpkins. She does the coolest artworks. She was in an art gallery and had a whole room where there was a bunch of pumpkins. You could look through this little glass window and you could see all these pumpkins in this mirror room. And it was this cool, immersive kind of artwork where you were staring at all these dots on the walls and it made you a little bit, wow, there's so many dots. She's cool. She has, I will butcher her name, so I'm not going to say her name, but she is awesome. It's on the weekly worksheet. We're just adding dots all down the sides. Make sure in each section, we're only putting one string of dots. We want to try and follow them coming down. The pumpkins, nice and dotty. Nice and dotty pumpkins. And again, adding dots all down our pumpkins. I'm going to need to get some more paint because I've used all of my paint, but that's okay. And we just dot, dot, dot. I like to do a little dot and a little swirl before I lift it up. So if you watch, I go dot, little turn, lift. Trying to get the dots all the way to the top if you can. If you need to get a smaller paintbrush end, that's okay. A little dot all the way down our pumpkin. Dot. They can get bigger at the bottom if you'd like, but I would suggest they go smaller at the top because there's not a lot of space. If your undercolor is not dry, they might be mixing into that color. That's all right, maybe you're making a cool effect. So we should end up with a pumpkin that kind of looks like this. Got a bunch of dots, it's got some painting, nice and bright. I'm gonna wash my paintbrush. Now don't forget, when you have this, we wash our paintbrush, even the bottom of it, we swirl it around, swirl it, swirl it, swirl it. Tap it off so we don't get water everywhere. Onto your towel and pull it off. Wipe all of that away so we have no paint left on your paintbrush. Now you guys keep dotting yours and keep getting all of your dots in all of those places. If you're coloring in with pencil, keep making all the pencil dots. You'll see that some of us will have big paintbrushes with big backs, or some of you might have some little tiny ones. Either way, it'll make all different interesting dots. It'll look very cool. So we keep going with our pumpkins. I'm just going to add some more paint to my palette because I've decided I want some different colors right now. You're always allowed to change your mind and add different colors. Maybe you like this color for this pumpkin, but for your next one, you do on a different one. Ah, Chantel, that looks so good. Oh my gosh. Good job. Got that greeny color. Ah, Hitesh, yours looks like a real Halloweeny pumpkin. Yes, Isaac, good job. Oh, I like that one, Addie. That's some nice, cool colors you've chosen. Punching your iPad is, oh, no, iPad, sorry. Your pumpkin is cool. These are looking so good. Oh, look at that, Gabriella and Albert. They look so awesome. Ah, yes. It's pumpkin time. Is anyone having pumpkin soup for dinner? Probably not because it's hot, isn't it? Emily, your pumpkin. That looks so cool. Oh, Corey, I like yours. I like the colors you've chosen. All right, what time is it? Someone's having a pumpkin for dinner. That's amazing. All right, I'm just going to answer a question quickly. All right. Hitesh, did you have a question? You just have your hand up.
Yeah.
What was your question, lovely?
You're going too fast.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Do you want me to slow down?
But I did catch up.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that one. All right. Chantel, you've had your hand up for a while. Oh, it's gone away. There it is. What was your question, Chantel?
I was going to ask, what happens like if you're like using paint
Yeah.
and you're drying it like with a paper towel to like make it more like dry quicker? What happens like if you accidentally smudge it?
Oh, is it the grass or is it the pumpkin?
Like if you're using paint and you have like a paper towel that you're drying it with, what happens if you accidentally smudge it?
You could either paint over it or you could pretend like it was intentional.
Okay.
All right. And Emily, last question before we move on to the next bit.
Well, before I was starting to draw the grass and the moon and the pumpkin, and well, you're fast. Before I only just started, but you're kind of fast.
Sorry, I do need to slow down.
So yeah, my mom. Yeah, my mom is here.
She's helping.
Oh, such a. Yeah, my mom's hoping if I need any paint, my mom gets some.
Ah, look, that's so good, so helpful. All right, lovelies, can we take our hands down if we've finished asking questions? Unmute. We're going to move on to the next step.
Okay, mẹ bảo cái tay đi.
How everyone's going. Oh, yes, we've got some pumpkins that are finished. Awesome. If you haven't finished your pumpkin, that's okay. The next step is just making another pumpkin. So here, show your pumpkins and I'll see what we're up to. All right, we've got 1 pumpkin, 2, 3. Oh, we've got a couple that haven't finished yet. Oh, Arjun, I love your pumpkin. That's cool. All right. Okay, so a lot of us are a little bit finished. So what I might do is let this pumpkin sit to the side, even if you haven't finished it just now. We'll draw our second pumpkin, and when we're painting our second pumpkin, because it's the exact same method as this, you can come back and do this one. So we'll just put this one off to the side for a moment, and we'll draw our second pumpkin, and then we'll come back to that. Is that okay? Because we can put it all together at the end. So our next bit is we are drawing a funny shaped pumpkin. So what I want you to do is start off with a pencil and your white paper, another white piece of paper, or on the side of this piece of paper if you have some space. You could draw your next pumpkin down here or over here, but I'm going to get it. I draw too big, so I need a new piece of paper. So we're going to draw a pumpkin with a funny looking bottom. So have you seen those pumpkins that kind of start round at the bottom and then go skinny at the top? That's the one we're going to do. So we're going to start with a bit of a sort of a flat circle, like an oval that's kind of flatter than taller. Like so, a little bit of a flat circle. Once you've got your flat circle, we might think about flattening out the bottom a little bit. So again, we're going to do a little line through our flat circle down the bottom, and then we're going to link that together. So it will be like a flat bottom circle. So that is the bottom of our pumpkin. A little circle, I'm going to draw a little line, and we're going to add the flat bottom of our circle. So this is the bottom. The next bit is going to be the long, skinny top of the pumpkin. Awesome. Oh, I like that we're using some tools to trace out the shape. I like that idea. That's very smart, very innovative. That's some good thoughts. So the next step with our pumpkin is we are going to make it a bit taller. So I'm going to follow this line here and go up this way to the top and then follow it back down, kind of like this shape. It doesn't need to be exactly like that because your pumpkin can be however you like, as long as you have it look in a weird looking shape. So we've got our happy round pumpkin and we've got our kind of odd looking, oddly shaped pumpkin. Kind of like with some little strange shapes on it. Isaac, your background is making me not able to see you or your work. I'm sorry. I can't see your work because of your background. So we should start with a little oval, flatten out the bottom, and make it kind of like up and down to make the little pumpkin. Yes, Gory, that looks so cool. Yes, they kind of look like little beans, don't they? Kind of like beans a little bit. Tegan, that looks so good. I was just about to look at mine and say, good job, students. But that was my one. Addie, oh, I like yours. This is good. Lexi, good job. Emily, that looks awesome. Look how yours is very nice and thick. Got a good shape to the bottom of yours. Gabriella, I like that one too. Oh, Alicia, got your pumpkin. Looking cool. Awesome. All right, so we've got our pumpkin. The next step is to add the stem yet again. Now this time we're going to add a stem that kind of goes off to one side. So this stem is a little bit more centered. We're going to make this stem go a bit off. So we're going to start by doing a little hat for our pumpkin, which is kind of like a half shape like this. So we start off with a little oval for our little hat. And then from the center of our hat, we have a little pumpkin bit coming out. And we round off the edges of our pumpkin bit and round off our pumpkin. So it should be a little oval shape, a little pumpkin hat shape. And just underneath it, you're going to round it out a little bit so you can see it. And that's our little pumpkin hat. All right, reference keeps going away. Got your little pumpkin hat going on. So now my pumpkin hat, I think it sits a little bit too straight. So I'm going to make it a little bit more wobbly. Wobbling up my pumpkin hat. So it sits a little more flush on it. And then you just get your eraser and the insides, we rub out the inside. And any lines on the outside, you can rub those out too. We don't need any of those. Same with this circle down here in the center. We don't need that one anymore. We can get rid of that one. So once you've done your little pumpkin hat, spend some time just erasing any of those lines we don't need anymore. Some of my lines are a bit unneat, so I'm just going to tidy them up a bit. Pumpkin. Following the shape. Making that pumpkin look more pumpkin-like. And the paintbrush doesn't leave me alone. Adding in our little hat. Our little stem. Like so. So you should have your little pumpkin hat and your pumpkin. If you know the next step, you can go ahead. We're doing those lines again down the pumpkin shape. If you would like to move on. Otherwise, if we're still doing the pumpkin, we're adding our little hat. Pretty much, it looks like an eggplant, yeah. But it's going to be a pumpkin. The only reason we think, well, I mean, eggplants obviously taste very different to pumpkins. But I think if we got the silhouette, we wouldn't really know the difference between an oblongy pumpkin and the pink eggplant. They look very good, awesome. I'm loving these. All right, and the next step we are doing, we're going to draw those lines down. So starting from the top again, these lines are going to be a little bit squiggly. We're going to do a squiggly line down, following the shape of our pumpkin, like so, and you're going to follow it. Oh, sorry, Lexi, we've got a question. All right, Lexi.
You're going very far.
Sorry, lovely.
It's a bit hard to keep up.
Have you got the pumpkin shape?
Yeah.
Are you working on the hat now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Keep working on that hat. You can do the same color as last time if you'd like to, definitely. If you wanted to do a different color, you're more than welcome to. If you maybe wanted to flip the colors, so maybe you had your pumpkin as your colors that you made your dots, and your dots as the colors that you made your pumpkin. That'd be interesting. You could flip them. This is all about experiment. So if you want to try out some weird, new, fun colors, give it a go. It's worth a try. So we're just drawing these next bits. So once you've got your hat, we're going to put in these pumpkin lines. So we don't have to put too many lines if you don't want to. or you can add more if you'd like to. It is up to you. But just make sure they follow all the way down your pumpkin. Oops, that one didn't work very well. All the way down your pumpkin. And again, I'm following the shape of this pumpkin. And following the shape of that pumpkin. All the way down. Ah, Lexi, that looks so cool. That's good. Yeah, your pumpkin's better than mine. Good job. Oh, Dennis, I love your pumpkin. That big one on the left, that one looks so good. Ah, Jennifer, you're like ahead of the game. Look how good that is. You've got your pumpkins all on there. You know what, Jennifer? I think you can make a couple more pumpkins. Maybe you should make some cool twisty ones or a couple of bunches together. All right, so we're all up to our pumpkin. Awesome. Oh, Zyra, I love your pumpkin. I really like the way it's sitting. Yes, Emily, good pumpkin. Addie, good job. All right, pick a color for your pumpkin. It is time. Any color you like, it is your pumpkin time. I'm going to do a yellow pumpkin, I think. So remember again, we are wetting the paint with water, making it a wash, not too thick, because we want it to dry. Oh, I might add some white to my pumpkin. Yeah. So you can add colors and make different colors if you like. So I've got a light yellow color for my pumpkin. Adding some more water so it's not too thick. All right, we are going to paint our pumpkin. Now don't forget, the hat of our pumpkin will be a different color. So we're not painting the hat, we're just painting the big pumpkin area. Onto the pumpkin we go, guys, starting at the top. Oh, I made this too opaque. That's okay. So we're starting at the top of our pumpkin and painting down. Starting at the top, dragging it down our pumpkin. If you need to, add some more water. Painting our pumpkin that color. Should be nice and watery, not too opaque, nice and translucent. So the more water you add, the less color, and it makes it a little bit more see-through, which is that fancy word, translucent. If we add too much water, then our page will disintegrate. So it's a bit of a fine line, isn't it? We have to add just enough so the page doesn't fall apart, but enough so that our color is a little bit see-through. If your page starts to buckle a bit, that's okay. That happens when we paint on paper. Oh, as you can see, I've accidentally made a mistake and I painted in the hat. Don't worry, I'll just pick a darker color to paint over it. You do that, it's all good. We'll just paint it with a darker color next time. And we're painting out our pumpkins. See how I turn the page if I need to get to different areas? You can turn the page to paint your pumpkin. It doesn't have to stay in the same angle. Painting our pumpkin, make sure we get all of the pumpkin, no white spaces. All of the pumpkin is completely painted. Painting, painting, painting. Make sure we get the whole pumpkin. Painting, painting, painting. If you know the next step, you are more than welcome to move ahead. If you finished your pumpkin, you didn't finish your first one, you're more than welcome to go back to that other pumpkin. If we are still painting the pumpkin, that's all good. We're still painting the pumpkin. Now, do not worry if your pencil mark, you can kind of see it. That's okay, because we like the idea of what the shape of the pumpkin. If you can still see these pencil marks, it helps you to really think the pumpkin is more 3D. We lose the pencil marks a little bit, they become a bit flatter. So we've got our pumpkin looking ripe and ready. Awesome pumpkins. Keep painting your pumpkin. Oh, very good technique. These are going good. I'm loving the concentration, by the way. You guys are amazing. Ah, Gabriella, don't drop it. That looks so good. Such a good color. Isaac, you in space. You can't breathe anymore. Oh my gosh. You need a helmet. All right, these are going so cool. So the next step for the pumpkins. Oh yes, Zara, I like the color of your pumpkin. The next step is we are adding in the dots. I'm gonna go crazy and add some really big dots this time. Let's have a bit of a fun time. Pick a color, any color. It is your choice. We're going to add in some nice dots. Using the back of your paintbrush. If you want to use the front of it, that could work too. But I like to use the back of my paintbrush because it already has that rounded shape. So we are starting off by dipping it in the paint. Put it on the back of the paintbrush. I'm going to do our dots. So all the way down our pumpkin. I'm doing our dots all the way down. You can do big dots and you can do little dots. It looks quite cool when we do different sizes. So when you have the paint on your paintbrush, see how it has a little bit of a point at the end of it from my paint on the tip? That helps me to make little dots. So that helps me to get really close. And instead of making it big, I just do the little tip and it makes really little dots. If I want bigger ones, I just push down a little bit harder and that can make some bigger dots. And we're just making it all nice and dotty. I'm going to turn it so I don't want to hit those dots. And then we can make some big dots, adding in our pumpkins. Did you have a question, Dennis? What's going on?
How do we do the hat?
The hat, all right, so the hat is just kind of like a shape. So you've got your pencil, use the side of it, and you're making like a long oval sort of shape, like this. And then you're going to draw a little sort of upside down U shape. We make the U shape come down a little bit on one side.
No, that's not what I mean. Like, how do you color the hat?
Oh, color the hat. Oh, you just paint it fully, any way you like.
In one color?
Yeah, just do it one color, I'd say. Sorry, Dennis, I didn't realize that. Could I get you to unmute, lovely, and put your hand down?
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, so if we're up to dotting, if you're up to the hat, just paint it whatever color you like. And I'm going to add in some big dots and some little dots. Got our dots going on. Don't forget, in your sections, try and only have one dot per section. So don't have 3 in this little gap here, just have 1 going up and down per section. So 1 streamline of dots. If you want to make a big dot, you can go and make massive circles. You can always dunk it back in the paint and dot it again. This is a very intensive class, this lesson. Got so many things to do. Lots of dots, 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 dots. So this artist does thousands and thousands of dots on her artworks every single time. And her pumpkins are massive. So she makes these big pumpkin sculptures as well as artworks on walls. But they are huge. And she just sits there. She probably doesn't do it anymore because she would have workers that would do the dots now. But she used to sit there and do 1 by 1 by 1 on all of her artworks. So many. So many dots. She's very cool. She has a fringe like me, but it is black, and a little black bob. And she dresses in such bright colors. She is very inspirational. And we're just adding in all of our dots. I'm going to add some teeny tinies just in there. Adding all your dots. Now, if you accidentally go over the lines, do not worry. It's only an artwork that we're working on. You can make it however you like, and you can just say, well, you know what, actually that was intentional. I did that dot on purpose. And if you really like this artwork, you could always watch the YouTube video again and make another one. So the fun thing about putting things online is we can try again and again and again, doing different activities. Oops, that dot didn't work very well. That's okay. I'll just keep moving on. Keep making your dots. And don't forget, once you've finished your dots, you need to wash the back of your paintbrush thoroughly. And then wiping it thoroughly. If you're still making your dots, all good. If you haven't finished your first pumpkin, you can finish that one. The next step, if you finished your first pumpkin, is to paint your, pick any color you like, and we're just going to paint it. Much like last time, don't forget we might try and make it a light, what's it called, wash. So we'll add a bit of water so we can paint it. I'm making a purple one again. Do I want to make another purple one? Maybe not. Maybe I should add some white. Make like a little pale purple color. All right, here we are. I've got a pale purple color, like a lilac color. I'm going to do my hat. So just painting, 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 making it nice and translucent. Have your pumpkin facing you so you can paint the top. So we're not going over the dots. We have the hat towards us. And we're going to paint our pumpkin hat. We've only got 10 minutes left. Isaac, what's your question, lovely?
I was just gonna say we have 10 minutes left.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, the next thing we have to do is we have to cut out the pumpkins and stick them on our background. So if you're ahead of the game, you're more than welcome to do that. I know this pumpkin is a little bit wet, but that's okay. It'll stick still. So if you've finished your pumpkins, we are going to, not the pumpkin you just finished because that might be a little wet. So we'll put that one over to the side and we'll grab the pumpkin we worked on before. We're going to cut it out. Or if you have a parent with you, we're going to get our parents to cut it for us, or an adult. Cutting along the line. Try not to touch the dots because the dots might be a little wet still. There's going to be one little change when we glue this pumpkin on. We are not going to glue the back of this pumpkin because we won't be able to hold on to it. We're going to glue where we're going to stick it, and then we stick it on. So our glue is going on the background paper, not on the pumpkin. That's our little bit that's a bit different today. So cutting along, making our pumpkin nice and cutting it out. Oh my gosh, I accidentally touched the paint. What happens if you accidentally touch the paint? You just wash your hands, it's all good. I'm going to get in this little pumpkin section. Just get in there. Cutting, cutting, cutting. All right, so I'm just going to show you quickly how to do this in case we run out of time. So what you're going to do, wherever you'd like to put your pumpkin, I'm going to put mine down here in the grass. So I will get my glue stick or whatever glue you have. All right, so my pumpkin's going here and there. I'll just move it slightly to the side. And I'm going to, whoops, don't do that, that has paint on it. I'm going to glue all that area where I think my pumpkin's going to be. If you accidentally glue too much area, it's okay, because you're just going to put it up to dry anyway, and that means that that glue will dry. So you glue, 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 glue this whole area. Wherever your pumpkin is, we're going to place it down, and just in between the pumpkins, we're going to, or you could get your leftover paper that you've cut off and just put it on top and lightly touch it so that you don't end up with paint on your fingers. You've got it on the paper. So we're just pushing down to get that pumpkin stuck on. Lightly peel it off. Yeah, mine's not dry, I think. Pushing it down to get stuck on. And then peeling it off. So you've got one pumpkin. And we need to do that exact same thing with our next pumpkin. But we need to be a little bit more careful because our next pumpkin is quite wet. But that's okay. It's all about having fun and being a little bit messy in art, isn't it? So just cut that last pumpkin out. We might end up with some of you just sticking on your pumpkins a little bit after class ends. I'm very sorry about that. But I would love to see you send in your photos of your artworks because these pumpkins are very cool. So we're cutting our pumpkin out. If you haven't finished painting your pumpkin, it might be a good idea to cut it out and stick it on and then finish painting it once it's stuck on. Cutting, cutting, cutting. Oh no, I touched the pumpkin. Cutting, cutting, cutting. All the way. All right, it is almost the end. What are the last two questions? Just quickly. Lexi has a question.
What if you accidentally cut your pumpkin?
So I would say you cut your pumpkin. What you do is you just glue it back together on the page. So you could just stick the half that you have accidentally cut off back on the page together.
Okay. I didn't think of that.
That's all right. I'm here to help out with the questions. All right, then I've got Albert next.
Since I'm using white paper, do I color in the background?
If you want to, yeah, you can for sure.
Okay.
With your next pumpkin, you can put your pumpkin on top of the other pumpkin. You could put it next to the other pumpkin. You could put it floating in the air. It's up to you. I'm going to have mine slightly on top of it. So they kind of overlapped a little bit, just a little bit. So I'm going to get my glue. I'm going to add my pumpkin glue. Pumpkin glue. Whoops, my bad. I'm going to add my normal glue and then put it on. Isaac, what was your question, lovely?
What are we gonna do next week?
So next week is painting with paper. So the idea is we are cutting out a bunch of different shapes and we're going to create an artwork with glue and paper pieces.
Okay, and do you think my swervy one looks like one of the Flintstones?
It does, doesn't it? I'm going to yell out yabba dabba doo while we're at it. Yabba dabba doo. So if your one is wet, just like mine is, I'm going to use a piece of paper to put on top. I know it will ruin my dots a little bit, but if I don't move it, it'll just dry them out. So we're going to use, no, we're not using paint on paper next week. We're just using paper on paper. So I'm using the paper on the paint just to press it. Now I don't move it. I'm just pressing down. Do not move it because if you move it, it will end up accidentally ruining your artwork. So we're just pushing down, and then we're going to hold on to our piece of paper and peel off this. Ooh, and it makes some cool effects. You end up with some pumpkins with some big areas and some smaller areas. If you don't like what you've ended up there, you can just go back and re-darken. Oh, God, sorry, my hiccups are really bad. Re-darken those little pumpkin bits. So this is our artist-themed pumpkins. I'm going to get the name of this artist just quickly before the lesson ends. So it is art making by Yayo Kashuma. If anyone wants to look up that artist, she's really cool and really fun. What I'm going to do is get you all to hold your artworks up. I'm going to ask you all to unmute and we're going to say goodbye because there's only 2 minutes left, so I wanted to see everyone's work.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.